Welcome back. Let's get into the market picture then. Of course, some positivity reigning supreme by the seams of things. The market still focusing quite heavily then on just how things will fare when it comes to things like the vaccine. It does seem though that Japan's economy is not faring too well. Economic data out this morning showed that there was a whole lot more money in circulation in Japan, meaning that of course corporates as well as households are hoarding money because they're not sure what's exactly going to happen out in the town of Japan as well. So certainly does tell you a clear picture. But despite that, it seems that markets are still continuing to head towards a record high. A lot of this instance actually also comes from the chance of Bitcoin moving a little bit higher up, and we'll discuss exactly why. But there's an element of positivity. Record highs out in Wall Street last night, and so too some positivity out then in the local the Asian market, should I say, as well. More than 2% gain for the Shanghai Composite. The Hang Seng also moving in positive territory, while the close out in the Nikkei also slightly up there. The European market, unfortunately, not doing too well. The biggest faller being the DAX out in Germany. So negativity out on this front, juxtaposing what we've just seen out in that Asian market picture there. So that negativity, you'd think perhaps would impact the local market. Hasn't done too much, although it has meant that we're not necessarily flying high. Although we are still at record levels. We closed yesterday at the highest mark since the JSE opened, of course, the highest mark on record above 65,000, around 65,090 odd points there. We're up just over 0.1% as well today, so that means we are enjoying some positivity. Whether that continues towards the end of the day, well, we'll yet to see. Of course, the market still will close only at 5 p.m., so there is still some time to go before that actually happens. 0.2% higher for the financials, so big gainers out on that front, and possibly one of the big gainers today as well, followed or taking in the same as the listed property market, as they've enjoyed some positivity. Just thought I should go into the gold and platinum miners specifically, which have pushed down the resources. We've had a trading update both from Anglo Gold Ashanti as well as Impala Platinum. PGM's doing well, gold miners doing well as well, it seems. But the platinum miners have unfortunately lost 0.7% today, weakening ever so slightly there. Onto the actual stocks that have gone down today. The likes of Mintech, unfortunately, getting hammered more than 15%, but a good number still overall for that. Vukile also on the up, more than 6% higher out on that front. In terms of negative stocks, Astral, Cartrack, all losing more than 3% today. So negative traders in the picture today. Over onto the commodities board then as well. Brent crude oil has gone down 0.2%, but still sits above that $60 a barrel mark. We were at around $61.11 a barrel yesterday this time, so slightly weaker off that mark. In terms of platinum, well, we're 2% better off today, so some more demand perhaps creeping in, with gold also feeling a bit of some demand and getting a liking to. Onto the commodities picture, a little bit mixed, one would say. We're at 14 Rand and 79 or 80 cents odd against the US dollar. We're 0.5% better off, so really enjoying ourselves so far. Whether the question mark though is whether it's Rand strength or maybe just dollar weakness is perhaps the question at hand here. But we're even pretty much flat against the euro as well, with a slightly better tinge as well against the British pound there. Today the Bitcoin price is only up around 4% at present, but yesterday we saw it climb as much as 20% then, because Elon Musk and his electric vehicle company Tesla put into their annual report that they would now be accepting Bitcoin as a form of payment in order to buy a Tesla vehicle. That is a big deal, because now you're making it a whole lot more mainstream. You're saying effectively that Bitcoin is a whole lot more easier, can be used for a whole lot more product purchases, and that enhances its value, of course. And so it shot right through to around 47,000 US dollars and even more at some stage. So certainly doing better on that front there. We'll see how it goes and fares today though, and the sustainability of that number. We'll also unpack that just a little bit too. But for now though, let's chat to Chantel Marks then from FNB Wealth and Investment. Chantel, it's a good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. So the global market, perhaps, are we still focusing on just vaccines here? Are we still hoping that we'll get some sort of economic pullback or fight back once vaccines take a hold of the global sphere?
Yeah, I think that's one half of the story. And the other half of the story really is the stimulus or the aid package that is about to get passed through in the United States. A big injection into that economy will do wonders to boost economic growth in the US and aid that recovery. It's the largest economy in the world, and when it goes well there, it just trickles down to almost every other area of the globe.
Chantal, what happens though in a case when the rest of the world is aimed in one direction, perhaps just trying to find vaccines and the like as well? You have of course, the World Health Organization's a task team that went out to Wuhan to try and find where exactly this coronavirus came from. But then you still have the likes of China still managing to peak out and eke out gains here, there, and everywhere else. And then, of course, you're still waiting for the stimulus effort out of the United States. And if that does come through indeed, I mean, that's bound to open up things quite a lot as well, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I think that the way that the Chinese have approached this is that it's a temporary problem that they're having, and they are going to push very hard to get their infrastructure expenditure going, get that fiscal stimulus going in that way. So they have a massive demand for commodities, which of course also is really, really good for us. They will also focus on making sure that their consumers are given the relief required in order to also maybe utilize this opportunity to continue with that services-led growth that they've been speaking about. So I think between the Chinese efforts and the US efforts, and then just a natural improvement in economic conditions because of the vaccines, we are probably set up for a pretty decent growth year from a global perspective.
Yeah, very interesting actually out on that front. All right, let's turn our attention a little bit locally, perhaps, if we can start there. Some trading statements coming out today, particularly from the mining companies. Anglo Gold Ashanti, still very important, despite the fact that they no longer have assets here in South Africa.
Yes, but they still make up a hefty chunk of the gold index on the JSE. So for our market movement, it's still quite important. They released a trading statement very early this morning, and it actually ended up disappointing the market. So it looks very good on the face of it, but analysts were thinking it was going to look even better. And it seems as if this could have been a combination of higher than expected taxes paid, but also that their cost performance wasn't as clean and as great as initially anticipated, and that's probably why you're seeing some weakness there.
And what about Impala Platinum? I mean, the PGM space is certainly gaining massively, right? And I mean, one considers the fact that Anglo American Platinum has also said that their profits are bound to spike up. So too Sibanye Stillwater, I think it's a more than 400%, close to anyway, 29 billion rand with their earnings. PGMs are really faring much better and continue to grow.
Yes, absolutely. I think that it's just a matter again of whether or not the market was thinking it was going to be even better than fantastic. And a similar story playing out for Impala as it did for Anglo Gold Ashanti this morning. So they've guided for headline earnings per share, which is a measure of their profitability, to increase by between, I think, 330 or 310 and 330%, which is massive. But again, missing market expectations just a tiny little bit. Sibanye and Anglo American actually exceeded expectations, and when they released trading guidance. So this one a little bit of a miss, but still pointing to exceptionally healthy profits.
So interesting. Okay, let's move away from, well, actually we can stay with company news. Tesla putting out a statement then yesterday, of course, in their annual report, and indeed even going on to say that actually we're going to take your money or your Bitcoin in order to get one Tesla. So if you have Bitcoin now, we'll take it. About nearly, 70% of one Bitcoin will get you a Model 3 Tesla at present, depending on which price and where the price goes, obviously, at a certain time. How big a news process is this actually, not just for Bitcoin, but even for Tesla in terms of its growth?
Yeah, so I think that the fact that they will be accepting Bitcoin as a means of exchange is probably adding some credibility to Bitcoin as a means of exchange. I think the reason that the price spiked, though, was because Tesla also said that they were going to buy $1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin. Of course, that spurs on demand, so the price does naturally increase as a result of that buying activity and higher demand. I'm still a little bit skeptical. I'm not sure if Tesla's just doing what Pick and Pay did a few years ago. I don't know if you remember, but I think it was about 2017, Pick and Pay actually tested taking on Bitcoin as a payment method at a few Pick and Pays, and they stopped it soon afterwards. So I'm not sure if there's going to be any sort of sustainability here. I would just caution that the price of Bitcoin is extremely volatile, and you need to be pretty sure that you understand what exactly you are buying when you are thinking about investing in cryptocurrencies.
Yeah, look, everything might be risky, but this feels a little riskier than others. Chantel, appreciate the time. Thank you so much for it. Appreciate it here on SABC News. Always good chatting to you. Chantel Marks then from FNB Wealth and Investment.